founders baba philosopher abatandikawo kye bayita eddembe ly'obuntu human rights, ba philosophers abo omu bali bamuyita Thomas Hobbes yalina philosophy ye nga akkiririza mu order of the constitution oba kye bayita social contract. A social contract, we are social as human beings, socializing nga tuli wamu ku bigendererwa almost ebifaanagana, naye ng'ate singa tulekebwawo nga buli omu bamulekedde endowooza ye, tuyinza omumaliza nga twebbye nga twekubye nga buli omu anyiiziza munne ku lw'okubanga wabaawo competition, wabaawo desires, wabaawo feelings, wabaawo obwagazi, wabaawo abantu abaagala ebiri excess, wabaawo omulugube omululu nga bw'olaba enkima bw'ozikasukira amenvu, ku lw'okubanga enkima bwe zibeera mu kibira oba ebisolo ebyo bibeera mu kibira tebirina constitution, tebirina binding laws, tebirina mateeka nga bigatta wamu oba kujja okugamba nti the binding laws that controls their excesses. So omusajja oyo philosopher yavaayo nga proposinga nti human rights oba eddembe ly'obuntu liri mu butonde Katonda nga yalitonda na buli muntu. They are naturally given, they are inalienable rights, ziri given oba inborn. Katonda yatutonda ne democracy, Katonda yatutonda n'atuwa zibayita freedoms ne liberties which combine to form the human rights. Kati ezo human rights ezo bw'oba omuntu ayagala okuzifuna, okusinziira ku Thomas Hobbes, ye yalaba nga abantu singa baasigala mu stage eri eya gye bayita gather hunter society, nga balinga ng'ebisolo bagenda ne balondalonda, kubanga bw'ogenda mu byalo tukyagiraba embeera eyo, abagenda ne balonda emiyembe, abaana basiba ku miti nga banoga ffene, such a wild kind of living. Nti ojja ssanga omwana yagenze n'alinya emiti gy'oku kyalo eyo gye bamukwatira nti yabbye ffene wa gundi. So going far back in the ancient, people used to live nga tebalina boundaries. You understand? They used to live nga bye bakola nga tekuliko abakuba ku nsolobotto. So this man came up with an idea of a social contract. A social contract is that contract that binds people to a common understanding whereby omuntu asobola okukozesa eddembe lye naye ng'alina waakoma, obutakisussa kunyigiriza balala. You understand? Nti omuntu amanya nti nyina katugeze bino ebyobukozi, nyina contract, mukama wange akoma wano nange nkoma wano, wadde nga nyina eddembe bwe mba njagadde okumusussa ne munyigiriza. Ekyo Abawarabu kye bakola, akwata n'anyigiriza omwana n'asussaawo we yalikomye, omwana n'agenda mu kunyigirizibwa, ate nga abadde alina w'alina okukoma mu kumuduumira okukola ng'alina okubaako n'ekkomo. So ze bayita set of laws ezijja ne ziba proposed mwe mwalina eno constitution y'eggwanga, nti abannansi baali bakufugibwa nga bafugibwa mu kukola eby'amateeka kye bayita rule of law, a set of given laws that bring people okubeera awamu basobole okubeera nga bakola ki, nga beekugira okuinfringinga on each other, buli omu okuyingirira munne. For instance, singa baaleka abantu ne babeera nga bagamba nti okay, naturally olina right ey'okuhaving a sex, olina right ey'okulya buli kyoyagadde. You have a right to eat, you have a right to sex, you have a right to talk, you have a right to walk, to do anything. We could register more accidents in a day because people have rights to walk. So they would even walk and cross the road in any way they want because they have a right to. But because there is a set of laws guided by the Constitution about trafficking, road trafficking. So the road traffic will tell you, the traffic rules will begin guiding you how to cross the road, how you should drive, your car, even if it is your property, how you should drive it, not excessively, such that you can protect lives of others and rights of others. You get it? So a social contract is a set of rules that come up to guide these natural rights, the state of nature in which we were created. That state of nature, or the natural law that we were created with as human beings, twatondebwa nga tumanyi tuli free, nga tuli free okukola kyonna kye twagadde. Yes, that is true. Buli omu akkiriza nti olina eddembe okweriira kyoyagadde, olina eddembe okukola kyoyagadde. Would it be okay for anyone okuvaayo n'abuukira bubuukiriza omukyala n'amurapinga? Is it right? It is not lawful. Era kimenya amateeka. Omuntu olwokuba yafunye feelings ayagala kuhavinga sex ng'agenda abuukira bubuukizi muntu, no, amateeka gamukugira. Amateeka gamukugira okugenda excess, so ng'ate abadde asobola. Bagayita social contract, which is the constitution. For instance, the constitution of Uganda today. These are international human rights which are guarded and enshrined in that book called the Rules of Law, which is the constitution. You understand? So looking at migrant workers of Uganda, do they have any set of law that governs their behaviors, that governs their socialization or societies? Is there any? I mean, when you look at migrant workers societies of Uganda, are they governed by any set of law? Are there any laws that compel them to behave in a good way that anyone would wish okubalabanga behaving? Do you have any way to check them in line, to put them to order? Apart from their contracts, I mean, in terms of these excesses we say today, case reporting, abusing people on social media, coming out talking anyhowly, do you have a set of law that, these laws are the ones binding or related to their welfare or related to ABCD, or they have been left like that, just like nga bwe kyali badde mu mirembe gyedda nti abantu ne babalekaawo nga tewali mateeka gonna gabakugira? Kitegeeza abantu bandibadde nga bakola ensobi ku bannaabwe. Zezino ensobi zolaba mu bankuba kyeyo, ze bali mu kukola ku bannaabwe, ze bali mu kukola ku b'amakampani, ze bali mu kukola ku buli muntu yenna gw'omanyi, ate nga bazikola bo beekwasa nti they have a right, but their rights now infringe on other people's what rights in the mix. Pojjala ba reporting, engeri gye ba reportingamu, abalala bakonjera, abalala yesi boogera ebituufu, abalala tamanyi na kyalina kwogera, abalala tamanyi ddiru alina kuwaaba. Okitegeera? Kati ate ekyo ekyobutamanya tekibagisaako musango. You find them, most of them tebamanyi na kiki kye balina ku reportinga. Others, they just abuse because there is no social contract, the rules that they bind to. But here in Migrant Workers' Voice, we have a social contract whereby when people come to Migrant Workers' Voice Network Association, they are told they come to register as members, subscribing, comparing themselves to a social contract. So Thomas Hobbes was trying to teach us a principle of responsibility, having a sense of belonging, relinquishing some of your powers to some kind of administration, to some kind of authority, which authority will always be in position to give you the services you deserve in general, in commonality. Common services as what? You see, when we get subordinate to government and then pay taxes, government in return makes for us, gives us services like building roads, you understand, making sure that there are more public structures put in place, making sure the country develops on our taxes as we get subordinate. By paying tax means civilization. It comes when you compel people to submit, to show their total will, their total submission to order. But in migrant workers, it's not there because there is no level. The levels of civility there are zero. for the fact that no company wishes to even compel these workers to have some level or minimum levels of civilization, which come by owning the process, having a sense of responsibility, paying taxes. Like a government telling us to pay taxes, it means they want us to get civilized. These are ways of civilizing a nation, by compelling the citizens to pay tax, to belong. Because when you pay tax, the next day you won't dig the road, you won't destroy the road, you won't destroy a government structure, because you will feel party to that very structure. You won't break a certain structure of government because you pay tax to that. But the migrant workers don't pay anything to this thing we call welfare and rights protection. Therefore, they just talk anyhow. They just want to damage anyone, including their companies. You see? Because they don't feel having a ownership in it. They feel like it is just given to them. Therefore, they can spoil it. They can receive it in any way. They don't feel party. You get that? So a sense of responsibility comes by that kind of order. Because when we talk of human rights origin begin from that social contract. The people who invented the constitution were targeting to protect human rights, because the constitution is supposed to protect laws. I mean, to bring laws. This constitution brings laws that protect human rights. In exchange with the sovereign power, the sovereign authority that we give some of these powers, which is government or the state, the executive. It is given these powers to always use the money to plan and build the nation, and also make sure they protect the citizens. That's the role we give them by the social contract we sign, by we electing our MPs to go and legislate in parliament. That one, if Uganda migrant workers had representatives known to always represent them into their issues, we wouldn't be having alarm on social media. But because there is no redress to that, they have been left there without any single representation. Like we have the MPs representing our constituencies in parliament, thus we keeping comfortable knowing that once they represent us, they will come to table to bring out good laws, good policies that can supervise and protect our taxes, that can bring us development, that can protect our country. Our role, as citizens, remains to watch and get submissive to the process of taxes, get submissive to what government requires us. Similarly to migrant workers, if there is that kind of arrangement to make them responsible, because right now they cannot avoid being migrant workers. They feel they should go. You find it. Others, because they feel they should be, they feel entitlement of being Ugandans, they cannot go anywhere to other countries. In terms of Uganda, for instance, our entitlement of we being Ugandans, we cannot go anywhere. Even when you migrate and go Saudi Arabia, when you get challenges, the first thing, I want to go back to Uganda. So Uganda becomes your entitlement. You feel you can't go anywhere. Therefore, if you can't go anywhere, then don't spoil the image of the place you want to stay for the next 100 years. You understand? You don't spoil that image. When you're in Uganda, behave well. Don't destroy. It will give you a heart not to be destructive over government property, because you also want to stay in Uganda, in a better Uganda. You get it? But if there was no that sort of a constitution or a social contract, an order, an ordinance for us to follow, for us to always know that there is a law, there's a law here, there's a law here and there. If I do this, they will catch me. If I do, you avoid safety, you avoid many issues or bad behaviors because of the law. Which law that comes from the power of government that was vested into the sovereignty, because as they protect the sovereignty, that authority, the supreme authority within a state, you find that this country will always be in position to protect its nationals, because the nationals will be obeying its laws, and which laws that were relinquished, which rights that were relinquished or given up to government by these very people. Ntegerekese bulungi? Onfunye bulungi? Nti bw'oba olina kyoyagala okufuna obaako kyokola ki? Kyowaayo. Bannansi baba baagala okufuna eddembe, babaako ebimu ne babyekkakkanya nti singa baabaleka bo kye bayita eddembe, ne baleka buli omu yeekolera ekyayagala. This is where we go excess. Okiwulira? Buli omu n'aba nga yandibadde atulugunya munne, nga buli omu yeekolera byayagala. A lot of bad behaviors, even death would be rampant, kubanga singa mba njagadde kutta naawe nkutta ate ne wataba waŋŋambako, because we have freedom. You understand? In the name of freedom. So it gets too much. Now the social contract comes in. The rules, they come in to regulate you, to minimize that when you kill, be careful. You are free to get excited, but if you kill someone, you will also face. So do we have such sets of law among migrant workers? Or they are just there, Mwanjala? Anyone can take advantage of. So if we don't have such, do you expect this industry to change? No, not at all. Because migrant workers do not belong anywhere. They only belong to their companies, which companies also send them off on a profit. You don't expect them to mind much. Therefore, if we cannot avoid going to these Arabs, we stand the test of time then to stand the solidarity, to be solidars into this and try to avoid the possible mistakes. Migrant workers must get organized by the time they leave Uganda, when they are all compelled, bound to the same rules, and obligations. And these obligations and rules must be stipulated clearly, such that the workers themselves know where they make mistakes, where they must be careful and not to make a mistake. I hope I made a point.